I'm Jordan Raynor, and this is the Word Before Work. Today we're reading from Luke 6, verse 27. Here's what it says. Jesus said, "Love your enemies, do good to those who hate you," end quote. Again, that's Jesus speaking in Luke chapter 6, verse 27. Fannie Lou Hamer had just given birth, but the only cry in the room was her own. Twice now she had watched her body grow along with her hope, only for her labor pains to usher in death rather than life. And then there were the miscarriages, losses that came so early, Hamer never even felt the joy of kicks in her womb. Those losses, coupled with her extreme poverty and slave-like work as a sharecropper in Mississippi in the early 1900s, ensured that Fannie Lou Hamer moved through her days in a fog until a doctor gave her hope. With surgery, the doctor assured her all of her infertility problems could go away. Hamer eagerly signed off on the procedure, but after the surgery, Hamer discovered the unthinkable. The doctor had removed her uterus in a complete hysterectomy done without her knowledge or consent. Hamer's dreams of having her own children were now utterly and truly dead. Hey, friend, believe it or not, that is arguably not the most tragic thing to happen to Fannie Lou Hamer, who would go on to become one of the most significant civil rights activists in the 20th century, largely responsible for giving African Americans the right to vote. But here's what's remarkable. Whether it was the surgeon, the police who beat her in prison, or the politicians who threatened her life, Hamer is never recorded as speaking a single word of hate against her perpetrators. One time, when U.S. Senator Hubert Humphrey proposed an egregiously unjust compromise, Hamer replied, quote, "Senator Humphrey, I'm going to pray to Jesus for you," end quote. And then she walked out the door as Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. followed right behind her. Jesus said, "Love your enemies and do good to those who hate you." Fannie Lou Hamer shows us an example of what that looks like and reminds us that we mere Christians glorify God by doing justice without hating the unjust. Because the world often tells us that doing justice requires that we also publicly shame and cancel the unjust, but God calls his people to a different way. See Micah 6:8 and Matthew 5. So, how can you and I practically do justice without hating the unjust today? First, take a risk to speak out against injustice. As God's ambassador in your workplace, you are called to speak out against injustices respectfully. See Ephesians 5:11. Second, refuse to take revenge against the unjust, knowing that vengeance is God's alone. See Romans 12:19. And finally, pray for the unjust per Jesus' example, knowing that you, like Christ, will be glorifying your Father in heaven as you do. See Luke chapter 23, verse 34. Hey, Fannie Lou Hamer is only one of 5 stories that I'm telling in my brand new book, 5 Mere Christians, this collection of binge-worthy biographies that shows you practically what it looks like to glorify God in your seemingly secular work. Today's devotional only scratches the surface of how God's word connects to our work. If you want to go deeper, sign up for my free 20-day devotional called The Word Before Work Foundations at twbwfoundations.com. These email devotionals are designed to help you gain a rich understanding of the biblical narrative of work, how exactly your work matters for eternity, and what those truths mean for how we ought to work today. You can sign up right now, again, for free at twbwfoundations.com.